that was the one where they said they sent us sterile samples, okay? And that in their analysis, they did not observe filamentous bacteria or other bacteria that was identified by us, okay? And again, through these hearings, when we got them to release their analysis, which I have with me if anyone would like to look at, they did find bacteria. There was bacteria, there was colonies in the plate counts. They observed a reddish filament, okay, through their microscopic analysis. We use SEM. It's like a $200,000 microscope, okay? And also they observed sand particles. So what I'm trying to get at, I know you guys put a lot of trust in the DEP, and it's a sticky situation. I know you're here on the side of caution. I'm trying very hard for the sake of the company that I work for, believe in, to let people know that, you know, it's not exactly everything in this letter is definitely not what it seems. There's a lot more to it, and you know, I'm here to, like I said, try to do whatever's asked, you know, for me. The boards of health is who I care about. That's who we do a lot of business through boards of health.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. At the urging of the laboratory director, she's asked me, because it's a Charlton business, and we're probably most affected, it's in our community, for me to call Monty Suberg and ask him where he's at with that and what should we do.
Also, if you have those results from the lab, that DEP on the fake test that they gave you, can we get a copy of that?
Our results?
Yep, the ones that DEP sent you that they said had bacteria in them.
Okay. Yeah.
Just can we get a copy of that?
Yeah, I will, yeah, I can send you any of the analysis that we did. I don't mind sending you that at all. I just, I brought with me, again, you have one letter with the DEP saying that in their laboratory, using their standard methods, they did not observe the presence of filamentous iron bacteria or other bacteria identified by ETR labs, nor did they observe any filaments or mineral or sand particles. Here is, and we had to try very hard in litigation to get them to release this. It says right here, few unidentified biological filaments observed with a non-biological reddish sediment in sand particle background, heterotrophic plate count, one colony. That's not sterile, that's bacteria, okay? And also, they went as far as to, even on one of these, identify Morganella morgani. That is a type of, that is a species, you can't identify a species of bacteria with sterile water, so.
Can he copy that?
You can have this.
Yeah.
Certainly, I'd like to help speed the process along. It's much easier for me and everyone in here, and we don't want to cause harm to anyone. Is that, if you like, I will call Mr. Suberg with the board's permission and say, we discussed at this meeting, where are you at? Because we're being held in limbo.
I agree.
I agree.
Please make a decision to assist our board along.
If you can make a call tomorrow, do it.
I will call him tomorrow. I know him very well, and they even urged me to make a call to him, so they'd like to get this resolved. And he's the one that's going to make a decision.
Steve?
That doesn't change the.
I know.
You're right. And we didn't get a letter. You know what?
I mean, we can't just.
Yeah, you're beating around the bush here, but.
Yeah.
I will do some more research, but you're right. If we don't understand, we get them from a certified lab, and until we get something like this, it's like you don't know. You know what I mean?
And I think we've just been kind of being hands off, but we didn't know.
I didn't know.
You
Well,
didn't know?
the DEP certifies the labs.
Right,
So,
but for 30 different parameters?
Right,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
we're not building a rocket here.
No.
Right.
I mean, granted, it's a health issue and everybody wants things to be as close to accurate as possible, okay? But these guys do testing for all kinds of, I mean, it's not like they're running this thing out of the trunk of a car somewhere in a parking lot at the shopping mall, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a reputable business, they've been doing this a long time, they got some seriously expensive equipment, you know, and again, what do we do here? Because Quabbin doesn't have anything, I mean, they've got like no certification, so what are we gonna do now? You know, what, Who we supposed to?
That's why I think we need an answer on this. But we
I'll
also,
I'll ask about Bob, and I'll call the certification lab and ask them, how are you certifying labs? And should we be aware of any other issues that we need to know about?
It's not an issue, it just doesn't meet, the language in the town. And I wasn't aware that that language was in there. Is that something you guys slipped in there recently, or?
It's been in there since 1999. I made a copy of the 1999, it's still the same. And that's upgraded in 2018, the board changed, it made some changes, and it needs cement in the top cover that we changed.
yeah,
for-
there were a few things that we changed.
But that was still in there in 1999. And that,
So we need to revisit this, not necessarily at this meeting, but we'll have, maybe at the next meeting, or if we can do it, just to change some of the wording around, or something based on what we've heard tonight.
we can do some research for the board and get the
Sure.
information. So the board has a better understanding, and I have a better understanding, and I'll find out from, hopefully I can find out from Mr. Suberg, Commissioner, where he's at, so we can make sure that ETR is, if they're gonna be back on board, that they can use them. You know, make sure that everyone has the opportunity to use anyone they want.
It's, I mean, obviously, we collect the sample, we have to send it to somebody. You know, I mean, is it really any skin off my butt where I send it? Not really, but we have found that these people are easy to deal with for a number of reasons. One, we probably have the UPS samples. If we regular ground freight, we can get the samples to a UPS guy and we can get, they'll get them the next day. Priority mail, they won't get them the next day. These guys, priority mail, they do get them the next day. So they get them, they give us the bottle kit, comes in a box, everything's all set. All we do is collect the samples, put them in the mail, they got them the next day. It's a lot easier to go to the post office to drop the samples off than it is to shag a UPS guy. Sometimes you see one, you know, you'll see them up the center, you'll see them down a Dunkin' Donuts, you'll see them everywhere, except for the day that you got a box of samples in your truck and you need to, you know. All right, so that's the first problem. The second problem is, I've had a lot of trouble with false positives on bacteria. And, you know, they're adamant that it's not their fault and it's not, you know, it's like, we've been doing this for over 30 years. We chlorinate heavily, we pump, excessively. We're very careful about the way we collect our samples and how, you know, we keep them in the refrigerator, we get them in the box, we ship, you know, we've tried dropping them off in person, and we still have the same problem. And it's like, we collected 2 samples within the last 2 weeks that went to quality, both of them come back positive for cold. Right, I had another, I was leaving for vacation, I had a drop in Petersham, I had another driller drill a well up in Petersham for me. And a friend of mine from Oxford put the pump in, did the pump test, they collected the sample, sent them to Quabbin, positive for bacteria, so they're for 3, my last, okay? So it's like, you know, this, I understand it happens, but it doesn't happen every time, you know?
Steve, just clarify, 3 for 3, they're coming positive, but it's false, they're false positives.
I believe they're false positives, because we've taken them, resampled them, and sent them to these guys, come back now. But I'll put it under a microscope and looking at it myself, I can't tell you, but I can tell you that we've gone so far as to collect 2 water samples from the same place, send one to them, one to somebody else, and one comes back okay, and one comes back no good. It's a hardship for us. Every time this happens, you know, they say, well, no problem, just chlorinate it and pump it, retest it. Well, at the end of the day, it's probably a $300 deal to go chlorinate it, let it sit for a day or 2, go back with the generator. It's 2 or 3 days of pumping. Some places you can leave the generator overnight, nobody's gonna steal it. Other places you gotta go pick it up. So at the end of the day, you gotta go pick it up. Next morning, you gotta go drive back to wherever it is, put it on the ground, get it going, gas it up. Next thing you know, it's $40, $50 worth of gas in the generator, and $40, $50 worth of gas in your van or your pickup, and how many trips back and forth? I mean, you're talking a day or 2's labor and screwing around and running around. So these positives are, you know, to the person at the lab, oh, no problem, just chlorinate it and retest it. Well, unfortunately, it's a big deal to us, you know. So I found that I don't have near the trouble with these guys that I do. It's really a pain in the butt for me. I can only tell you my experience.
Jim?
I will work on that issue, but another issue, remember the board that we have Steve here, that he stepped forward for that family on Clint Road, that we thanked him for. that he got.
Thank you.
So, I did mention to the board the last time that family that you know, stepped forward and put that well in at the last minute, and for a family that needed, that went actually a month and a half, 8 weeks without, it was longer than that.
It's only water for,
Five
not just
children.
drinking, but also for the toilets, right?
Yeah, the toilets.
And horses and,
But Steve, you know, I got him to step up, and I wanted to make sure that insurance was okay with him, and he said yes, so, but,
And that was a lightning strike, is that
Yeah.
correct?
yeah, they had like 20 of them in town. But thank you again, appreciate it for that family.
So how are we wrapping this up then with?
I will make
TR?
some calls and do some research, and we'll see if we can speed this along, so ETR Labs can be back in good standings with this board, as well as the other 28 communities that have an issue in this region
Well,
that have also questioned your.
I asked him that, and I asked him if there were any other towns that would give him a hard time.
He told me
he said-
28.
Two besides you guys. Is what I was told.
I'm aware of a couple.
I don't, believe me, I think you're a good qualified lab, and I think this is a matter that should be cleared up, and I'm gonna try and speed it along. And like I said, today I did get some of your analysis from a while ago, that was before the board made the decision, and I accepted it. So, you know, continue to do a good job, and I'm going to call Mr. Suberg tomorrow and find about these other labs, and specifically
Well,
get down
that-
to the testing, is who is certified? according to
People
it.
want to, there's a searchable
Yeah.
database, I
Yeah,
mean, it's
it
very
can-
easy to, I mean, he's got a screenshot of,
I mean, but
This
this
is
is,
the-
this is Quabbin right here.
Did you have a chance?
Yeah, Jim showed it to me.
And they're certified for 2 things.
So I'd like to suggest that at a future meeting, Jim, at some point, it doesn't have to be necessarily the next one, because I realize we're kind of in the middle of all this stuff, but I do want to go back and revisit this with some of the wording.
I will get some
Because
clarification
we're
with the
just gonna get in
certification of
trouble.
labs and reporting and how they work in conjunction with our well regs. And do we need to change some of the language?
Well, it sounds
like
like.
I said, everybody wants an accurate analysis, but we're not building a rocket ship, you
Yeah,
know,
you
and
can't.
it's.
If it doesn't exist, we can't ask for that. I mean, you can ask for it, but you're never gonna get it.
Well, that's the problem, I
Right.
mean, we,
So I can just see this, somebody 5 years from now is gonna say, I moved into my house and, you know, supposedly you use it, but through a lot of research, I found out that one lab, you know, wasn't specific for whatever, manganese or silver or
Yeah.
something, and now it's caused health issues.
Yeah.
And then they come back and they sue the town and the lab and the builder and the well driller, and because of the way that this is worded, so okay.
I'm
So,
surprised
future
that Sturbridge, now Sturbridge is like, Sturbridge is pretty crazy about a lot of things. And I'm surprised that Sturbridge will let anybody use Quab out there. I know, you know, I don't know.
Right.
Quab is all, I mean, Sturbridge is all over this guy. but-
They were.
But why they accept.
She's not there anymore.
Bree. So,
She left.
That's
that's
funny
a.
you said that before you even said it.
Because I knew where he was going.
Well, I mean, you know, everything that I've told you guys, this board tonight is way more informed than a lot of people are out there about this whole thing. And again, Sturbridge was giving us a hard time about a statement on the report saying not all analysis were conducted. The DEP included that part in the letter,
Yep.
and again, it's not, don't even take my word for it. If you look into the standard methods and you look at holding times and when things are supposed to be analyzed, you will find out that a lab that doesn't have some type of a statement or indication on the report that not every analyte, not all analytes were conducted, it
They
is
just
what
look at
it is.
pH, but obviously you can't do it according to the
And
regulations.
like Steve said, it's not, you're really not building a rocket ship. Aside from the regulatory end of things, I mean, we do over 2,000 well water samples a month, okay? This is what we, aside from this stuff, I mean, this is what we specialize in, we're experts in this stuff. We see, we look at reports, we tell people, help people figure out the problems with the well, like, you know, the cab, is it buried, is it this? We know right away just from looking at it half of the time what's wrong with it. And so, you know, and these are samples that are dropped off, you know, these are, you You can make it practical and still help people, feel good about their water,
That's the thing, it's gotta be practical, 'cause
Certainly, I will do my due diligence to speed this up, so we can get you back in good standing with this board that has the authority to tell me to accept whatever, and I think I want to do that as soon as possible.
I appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
I make a motion, we table this discussion till our next meeting.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Gentlemen, thank you both for coming in tonight. It's been a real good education. We could probably stay here all night and talk and start,
you got other business.
yeah,
Feeling
well,
the heat.
no, they're pretty low.
They're regular.
Thanks again,
Yeah,
Steve.
they are.
I really appreciate it.
Steve, thank you.
Thanks for coming in, appreciate
Thanks
it.
for listening.
Thanks for everything.
Thank you very
Thanks, guys.
much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Hope to get
Again,
this
Steve,
resolved soon.
Thank you for helping that vendor, Steve.
You too, Shorty. Good seeing you.
Good to see you.
See you later.
Jim, I
Oh,
think
yes.
that's yours, so we don't lose sight of that. All right. I'm gonna make a note here so I don't lose sight of this. All right. Ongoing business, Flint Road landfill, H-Foot Road, Berry Corner Road, Eleanor Lane. Yes, Jim, I'm sure you are probably the most,
As
knowledgeable
far as the
about
Flint
this.
Road landfill, I spoke with Gary, and he wanted me to call the person that was awarded the contract, Steve Slope, to make sure that he notifies Gary when he's going to mow the landfill, so Gary can be there to show him a few things, and to make sure he inspects right away. He doesn't want to wait. If he goes there on Friday and Gary doesn't know until Monday, Gary wants to go there right as soon as he's done.
So no work has been done on
No.
the Cap landfill as far as mowing?
As far as I know, no, I called him today and explained to him that he needs to contact
Well,
Gary.
technically, the contract says, I believe, they have to have it completed by October 15th.
I just want to say that when we did have our last meeting, we left off where the number one and the number two bidder were going to do a field site walk.
Right,
Which did happen.
Okay.
The number one bidder said, yeah, this is what I thought, and he accepted
Okay.
that. So we do, was it Steve Stokes, was it?
Yeah, Steve Slope.
So, they did do that. Yes, this guy's did. He also gave us a price for 54 Flint Road.
Gary has that, and I believe I have it somewhere in the folder. And I think the other one was Snows that came in second,
That's
that was
correct.
Spencer.
Yes.
And they also attended, like you
Mhm.
said. and they-
So what's holding us up from having them start work? It's just Gary wanted to show them a few things on
I think Gary wants to make sure, do his due diligence, that they're doing
Okay,
everything
that's
correctly,
fine.
there's no issues, and that those spots, and everything is taken care of. He has to do that reporting to the DEP of the condition of the landfill and every motor and stuff, so he wants to make sure that he notifies him, so he can report back to the board that it's mowed, he's gonna take pictures himself and do the right thing.
Okay, no, it's fine. Just wanted clarification.
So it sounds like though we did request a deadline. I mean, it's,
I think he's gonna meet it, I think he plans on coming very soon.
Well, that being said, I would hope that if, because of the weather, and Gary's schedule and steep slopes and so forth, I don't want the guy out there at midnight under lights trying to do this.
No, he needs to, I believe that Gary's gonna, I told him to call Gary, gave him his number, I said, please call him and make arrangements with Gary. So Gary will probably give me a call tomorrow, or when he calls him, to say, hey, he's gonna be there next Wednesday, I'll make sure I'm there.
Okay. All right.
And I'll let the board know.
Yeah, if there's any issue, please let us all know.
Yeah, I am trying to keep the board informed of as many things as possible.
But I don't see, I mean, if it goes to the 16th or the 18th or the 20th, I don't think that's any issue at all. If there, especially if it's a timing issue where there's just kind of a technicality, if you will.
Right, and it's just, look, it's not all this rain and stuff, so certainly have to take consideration.
Yeah.
You might wanna let it dry out for a little bit.
Yes,
It's probably sitting a little too low, needs to dry out. It's gonna be warmer tomorrow, but I think he's gonna wanna take it to, after a torrential rain like today, they would go tomorrow. I think it'd be,
but we do want to make sure we're on the radar.
yes,
Yeah.
yep, that's what
and then, as far as the Eastwood Road, Berry Corner Road, and Eleanor Lane, I did update you on the last meeting for the water connection and move along. My next meeting is next week, so I'll give you an update where they are.
once a month, is that it?
Yeah, yep. And they did, for some reason, they, ExxonMobil and Kleinfeld had not been including me in their meetings.
Why not?
But So I found out that I was volunteered to do some work. I said, if you're gonna volunteer me to do any work, then I should be attending the meetings. And why you would not invite a representative of the Board of Health to attend the meetings on the water line is beyond. So I called ExxonMobil, Representative Kleinfelder, Maura Johnson, said, Maura, what's going on? She said, you're not on the list? I said, no. So she immediately called me, apologized, and I was at the last meeting, and basically they're working on removing the trees and putting the pump station in. And that's the ExxonMobil Kleinfelder side of it, but I am included, and I'm going to a meeting next week on that also for an update. It's at the library, the meetings are held at the library. So I will send the board the last meeting minutes. Generally, they're just trying to get the pump station going, so. A lot of people are also from H-Foot Road, have been calling and say, or Berry Corner Road, saying, hey, I see the truck outside. I didn't sign up on hookup. Could you just have them run the line in now? Which, to be honest, upsets me a little because they said they didn't know about it. And I know they did know about it, but we've added them to the list, they're on standby. And we're going to, if the DEP said if there is money at the end, they will be connected and receive. And then there was a couple lots that they said all lots that are buildable will receive a stub. Well, the guy at 194 said, hey, I own the one next door and it's not in the plan, and it wasn't. So I showed him a letter that they said there was, every lot would receive a stub, and he's getting one. So, and the people that are on the list at the end, they're gonna plan on tying them in because I believe there'll be enough money to get them going. And the DEP said every dime will be spent and every home that wants to be connected shall, if there's money appropriately, or we'll work on something else.
Good.
There were some other issues also over the past month with odor.
Oh yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah.
We collect them all. Andrew, have her do a spreadsheet, and we forward that spreadsheet from us to the DEP. Even though the DEP's copying them on, we want to let them know that we're aware of them and we have a spreadsheet. And we send them forward to Mary Jo.
From what I gathered from the two personal, one was
Yes,
well, both emails, it sounds to me, if I can assume what was being said, is that they are, in some cases, they were not covering the trash in the evening at the close of business, like they were supposed to. I think they were supposed to do that every day, correct?
Every day,
Yeah.
there'll be no open trash left at the landfill. It's called daily cover. Everything
Daily
shall be
cover.
covered.
So the daily cover, can we be assured that that's being done? Because it sounded like
Something like it
wasn't,
but
with the odor that strong inside the house all day. It's not just like a minor, yes.
I agree with you. I read the letter too, and it sounds like that's the thing. Comes back to the same thing though, can we assure that it's being done? We have no say on that.
I know.
We've got absolutely no say. We can complain. We've got no policing authority to do anything about it other than complain about
It's
it.
too bad. If it was about a quarter mile this way, we could go up there and put a chain across the
Well, I certainly think
front and
that,
say, you're shut down until you comply with what we say.
I think I'm gonna ask Tracy straight out. I mean, Casella, they won't lie to you, but if you don't ask the question, you're not necessarily gonna get an answer, not gonna volunteer it. I'm gonna ask them, you providing daily cover as, that it's mandated, you're not supposed to leave open. And I'll see what she says, and based on that letter. I didn't get a chance to call her today. Andrew was on vacation, there was no one else in the office, so I'm sort of running back around. But I certainly read that letter also, and I will certainly talk to Tracy and see if that's any truth to that. Because that is a reportable incident to the DEP.
Right, and unless you get eyes on there,
You're right.
you're
We
not
don't have
gonna
eyes and ears there, but I mean,
No,
Anna
but-
Smith's supposed to be the landfill monitor at the Southbridge. I could call Andy Pelletier and ask him, hey, does Anna observe that there was no daily cover in the morning? You know?
And my concern now is that they're gonna be closing later this year, probably, as far as getting new, so they probably think, I'm not gonna speculate, but it seems to me that it's more than maybe a coincidence that they're maybe not getting the full daily cover that they should be, because we're just a few months maybe from the end of getting.
And remember, when it gets colder, the odor is stronger.
What is that?
Yes, because the air mass is heavier, keeps things down.
Okay.
And people think it's because in the summer, because of, no question, more noticeably, the windows open, trying to air out your house, but in the winter, that heavy air keeps the smell
Like a
down.
blanket.
Yeah.
So just one question.
Yes.
Through the chair. So are we sure that the only thing that's causing that odor is the lack of the daily cover?
To be honest, I don't know for sure. They are doing a lot of construction there, and they're getting, as the chairman said, getting to the end. December 31st supposedly is the closure date, where they're gonna be shut down and no longer accepting municipal solid waste, so,
December what, December 31st?
December 31st.
Latest, right? It could be before that.
Could be before. Yep.
Just municipal solid waste or all solid waste?
Any materials,
Any-
except for shaping and grading and cover.
Except for what?
Shaping and grading,
Oh, okay,
And-
all right,
and
okay.
the
But
cost-
that's not trash, that's,
no.
Post-construction.
Yeah. I don't know if it's COM 97 materials, I don't know.
okay.
Will we still
Whatever,
be
it's
able
not
to
gonna
go
smell.
there every week?
Hopefully not.
Yes, hopefully. I say that with, they haven't told me no. Southwick was trying to get us to come in on something. I said, we already have an agreement with Casella. I'm not going to, until they tell us they're not, and I think they were told us already, that drop-off station is still gonna remain open for child residents. And I believe that it is going to stay open for child residents, and our trash will be picked up at the municipal buildings as agreed upon.
For how many years, Jim, do you know what the?
2027.
And the hazardous waste days will be ongoing?
I believe, yes, I've not heard anything about that. I know that they're currently in litigation with the town of Southbridge on their municipal trash pickup.
Yes, they are.
Not an issue for the Charlton Board of Health. We've always stayed in good standings. When Matt was chair, he had a good relationship with Casella, and I think that remains. But like you said, it's over the line. Someone else has control. Certainly, we monitor what goes on in Charlton, and the odors are an issue for that area, and what the contamination of the wells is an issue that is currently being corrected. But it doesn't, it's not, I don't believe it's the end of the story. You know, this
So-
landfill's always gonna be there.
Just to back up just a little bit, you mentioned Andy Pelletier. You're gonna call him, he's Board of Health, Sturbridge.
He's the health agent in Southbridge.
Yes, I'm sorry, did I say Sturbridge?
And
Southbridge.
he has direct oversight, so I will call and ask him.
Okay, thank you.
If he can look into it and find out and get back to me.
Probably go up there and we'll be all covered nicely.
Well, I don't know. They do have someone on site, Anna Smith is the landfill monitor. She's supposed to inspect that each and every morning and then, so.
Okay, it's just from what I read, from what these folks were going through, both here in front of us and also another woman on Berry Corner Road,
Yep.
it sounded really, really nasty. So, okay. People in the audience, do you have something? John, yes, please.
At the Southbridge Board of Health meeting, Tracy said that in the beginning of October, they were gonna be putting down the, I believe it was the final cap on the eastern slope, 7 acres. They need 4 days above 40 degrees to do it. That should mean that there's gonna be no more exposed garbage at the edge where they gotta create that end for that
Right,
cap.
that end.
That should be the end of it. There should be no more odors on that side of the landfill anymore, coming from what that's about to cover.
It should alleviate that, yes.
So as far as you know, that is the final cap, and that's,
As far as what I have.
all that
at
work
this
will be
time,
done. They won't be working till 7 at night anymore.
There was a time when they were working later and did receive permission.
Yep, yeah, I remember that.
But I don't believe that it's gonna get dark soon. We only have so many days before the old clocks go back, and at 4 o'clock, it's, looks like this outside. So days are short, and their work time is,
Did you say by the end of October?
Beginning of October,
Beginning of
they're hoping to put down the final 7-acre cap on the eastern slope, not where they're still accepting trash. She also mentioned that in the beginning of November, I think is what I emailed out, they will have a firm date and they'll know how much more they will accept and have a firm date of closure. They'll know that in October timeframe. I think I said October, right? Mid-October. And the spreadsheet you have for the orders, can I get a copy of that?
sure, absolutely. I'll have, Andrea send it to you.
Okay. She's in tomorrow?
She needs to update it, because we got a few more, so.
Okay. She'll be in tomorrow, because I want to,
Yeah, she'll be in tomorrow.
okay, thanks.
How How's the road going? I know that there were, the last couple of meetings, there was issues with road construction, having to go through the access where some of the trucks were, and cars and trucks were bottoming out.
We'll let Mark tell you what the condition of the road is.
Has it gotten better?
They've, the big gully area, they filled it in like I suspected with dirt. But still, where it ends and the tar area begins is still just pretty bad, and like every time it rains, trucks are in and out. It's no different than what it was, except the road down here, the road is now up here, it's more flat with landmines all over. You know, they have been, I guess, technically kind of filling it in, but like I said, unless they repave it like it was originally, it's, every day, it's a crapshoot when you go through there. Not to mention that, you know, I don't care what you have for a vehicle, when you go through there, you look like you've been out mud bogging.
Yeah. And this is the only way in or out for you currently while the construction's going?
Because they
It's
got the
gonna be-
road shut down,
Shut down.
Right.
At the
And
end.
how long is that gonna be before?
all the way up our road.
That's gonna take at least a month.
A month.
At least.
At least, maybe a little bit. I'll have a better idea and I'll update everyone when I go to my meeting next week, on the water line. Ask them where they're at.
And I think Heather said the plan was never to pave that section of Barefoot, but is that the plan to pave it after they're closed?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's face it, when you get that mud in your car, if you don't get it off, it's very difficult to get it off your vehicle.
Yeah, there's a couple of bad spots right where the pavement
It's
ends,
very
like Mark
tough.
says.
And I know because I'm driving through there,
Right, tires.
head right to the car wash. Once it gets on the vehicle, it's pretty bad.
I haven't washed my truck all year because it's just a waste of time. I mean, there's no sense washing it just to get home. It's gonna look like it did when I left, so. You know, I'm sure I'm not the only one on the road that kinda, you know, has pride in their vehicles, but it's kinda hard to do when, you know, you're going through crap like that, so.
I will find out for next meeting where they're at and what's the plan for the time frame for that road getting back open.
Melissa, thank you for including me on the emails too. And I think Jim's probably also copied on
Yeah,
this
I
too.
put everybody on there that I
Thank you.
have, I don't think I have your email.
No, I don't think.
I'll forward it to you.
Okay.
I'll forward it, if it's okay with you.
Yeah, I'd like to see.
John, yes.
Has the board thought about any plan of reviewing the monitoring process of the DEP and what they're gonna monitor after closure?
As far as,
And making sure you get a copy of that and look at it, because I don't know if they're gonna include 10 schoolhouse and those properties there that aren't getting water.
oh, you're talking well testing. Okay.
I brought that up
Jim, do you
multiple
have-
times in the past to
They've
DEP.
been adamant that's not within their scope, and they've stood by that, but certainly we can speak to, I think it's more of a voice for the DEP to hear that would like to have that contested. So if they're not gonna be monitoring and testing, you have to go outside the water lines to get an accurate reading if it's spreading. So you have to have some kind of sentinel well, or use someone as a basis that it has not gone beyond that area. And I think they understand that, and I think they will require them to test those houses to make sure it's not gonna go any further up to Sawmill and all that. They're gonna have to.
I know we've talked about it, John, a couple times, and, but I thought with that, in the post-closure report or whatnot, I thought they talked about having a couple of wells that were beyond that limit.
There was some discussion, and I just think that we need clarification of what wells and what, you know, testing parameters, how
Yeah.
often, stuff like that. Just like with ExxonMobil, gonna still have sentinel wells on Turner Road, Oxford Road. They're gonna have to make sure, Freeman Road, I mean, you're just not gonna test anymore, you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
If it's spreading, they wanna know. You know, we still need to deal with the Gould Cemetery Road issue. What are they gonna do? And I keep asking about it. They say they don't know. They're gonna continue to, they have poet systems, they have, getting bottled water, they're still saying it's not that. Well, who is it? You know, so. continue to keep asking and make sure they're aware that we're not gonna let that go by.
And that's part of the 6 West
Yeah,
leaking, okay.
allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah, that'll cover our bases.
But certainly we have to keep pressure to know that we're not gonna allow them just to build a water line, leak, you know, all these homes in Gould Cemetery Road. Who's gonna continue to pay for the testing? Who's gonna continue to monitor, you know, the treatment systems? It's gotta be talked about. And we did go to the DP and speak specifically on that, and Mark Baldy said he's not gonna let it drop. So I trust him that he'll do the best for Charlton, and it's just, I think they know that there are other issues that still need to be resolved. Certainly not done.
Anything else from you folks in the audience? No? We do appreciate you coming. It's always good to see your smiling faces out there. While we're on well testing, Burlingame Road water testing. Jim and I were talking a little bit before the meeting, but I'm gonna let Jim give a quick update here as far as what's going on with that.
Gary's working on that. He's supposed to get the addresses, and we're gonna send out letters, and I think we did send, I'm pretty sure Andrea sent out, we drafted the letter, we'll look at it, we gave it to Gary, so. I'll have to check with Andrea if she did end up getting, sending those letters to those residents.
That's fine. There's certainly no rush on that, but we'll keep it on for ongoing business.
No, if
just
we're
so-
gonna do it, we're gonna do it.
Oh, sure.
Sooner than rather than later,
Yeah.
you know. Gary did look at it, and he gave the approval, as the board did, that the letter was good. And I believe they went up to home, so. Gary's, I'll get an update from Gary tomorrow.
All right.
I did speak to him, but he was more concerned about getting close to that deadline in the moment, so.
I think that's it for new business or ongoing business. Jim, department head report. Reports.
Generally,